Hey, what's up everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome to episode number 200 of Track Walk in MX Simulator. I can't believe that we've made it this far with Track Walks. Well, actually, what I should do before we get too deep into this video is wish you guys all a very happy new year. We've also made it to 2021 as well. Very exciting that we're finally out of the chaos that was 2020, and hopefully some greener pastures ahead of us in 2021. So again, happy new year everybody. But yeah, let's get excited about episode number 200 of Track Walk today. Very long time coming to get to this video, and a couple different ideas that I had for the video. Ultimately, I decided to go with the 2020 version of the Gotland Grand National, which is created by Liddzor, aka Matthias Lidman. You guys have probably seen a couple iterations of this track before on the channel. It's definitely not the first time I've done the Gotland Grand National track in Sim. But he had done the 2020 version of the race itself not too long ago. I think maybe like a month ago or so now. So I was planning on doing this eventually anyway, but I was still just trying to like kind of work out what I wanted to do for the 200th episode of Track Walk, and ended up picking this one. So there's going to be a couple things that go along with this video as a celebration for not only the 200th Track Walk on the channel, but also for the celebration of 6 years of SYS. SYS started on December 30th, 2014, I should say. So we've just now completed our 6th year of existence, and obviously you guys see by the sub count, getting over 80,000 subscribers. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. Subs recently though. We're on the way, and hopefully this year maybe perhaps we can eclipse that 100K mark. That'd be really awesome, and something that I absolutely never ever would have thought would have happened when I started the channel back in 2014 with Jeremy Hinters, obviously. But yeah, so we're gonna do a little bit of like a fun giveaway. I think hopefully it's a little bit fun. Some of you guys have also seen that we've been doing some merch in this last year or so. And so we're going to give away 3 SYS t-shirts to lucky winners that all you have to do in this video, well, not in this video, but all you have to do is go to our Instagram account, and our Instagram account is linked in the description below, and DM me the special code that I'm going to insert somewhere in this video. I'll probably say it in like 10-15 minutes, but I want to get you guys to actually watch some of the video before I put the code in the video. And if you DM me the correct code on my on the SYS Instagram account, you will be entered in a chance to win one of those 3 t-shirts, SYS t-shirts. Gonna get them for free, maybe include some stickers. But yeah, gonna give some t-shirts away as celebration for Track Walk episode 200. So why I chose the Gotland Grand National track was actually because the most viewed Track Walk ever on this channel, and Track Walk has been a staple of our channel since day one, obviously, because it's the very first video we ever put out 6 years ago now, is an Enduro track. It's not the Gotland track, but it is an Enduro called Swedish Enduro Round 1 by a user by the name of Mecha96 is our most viewed Track Walk video of all time, which to me is still kind of crazy considering some of the tracks that we have done, the Chad Reed compound, the James Stewart compound, a lot of different other like really gnarly, insane tracks, like the Sky Madness series has also been popular. I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple other pretty good ones, but yeah, the Enduro videos always seem to kind of catch on and be the popular ones on the channel. For whatever reason that may be, again, I don't really know, but it's really exciting to always have the Enduro fan base check in and check out a track. This version of the Gotland Grand National is just like the versions that I've played in the past, though. It's not based off of the real Gotland Grand National, which happens on this small Swedish island. I think it's in the Baltic Sea, right? So it's not like a real replica, full-blown version, but it's just Matthias Lidman's little kind of raceable version that he creates here. Runs a race in Sim, kind of a cool event that happens every year now, it seems, and just kind of more enduro type track. There are, I think, better enduro tracks out there, but what I actually really like about this Gotland track and the other ones that he's created is he definitely tries, I feel like, to do a lot of different things. Like he does this cool thing right here where there's a log bridge that you ride over. It's a split lane, and then you loop back underneath of it. He's got a lot of kind of just more or less like mud holes that you have to ride through. He's also got these like long straightaways mixed in on little roads as well. And the track itself is pretty long. It's roughly 25-30 minute lap time, at least for me. I'm not very fast at the game anymore. It's another thing about Track Walk episode 200, right? Is you guys have progressively watched me, I think, get worse at the game since I started doing Track Walk, which is a little bit of a bummer because I feel like when I started doing Track Walk and MX Simulator way back in the day, I was really good, and that was maybe one of the draws about it, is that you got to come see somebody that was pretty decent at the game actually give it a go. But yeah, I'm definitely not as good as I used to be, and it doesn't help at all, quite honestly, that I've branched out and tried to do a lot more different games than Sim. I play MX Bikes, I play MXGP, I play Supercross the game, I play Formula 1, I play Ride, all these other things. So now Sim, when I get back to it, my mind is thinking about some of these other games that I'm a little bit more used to maybe, and my hand motions are slower, and my muscle memory for this game seems to have gone out the window. So that's always a little bit of a bummer, but it is what it is. It's always going to happen, and I've known a lot of people that have come before me that their Sim skills go out the window eventually as well, and hopefully mine lasts for a couple years more if Sim is going to continue to stick around for a couple more years. I can, I guess, highlight right now, before I get too deep in this video, that any of you guys that come around and are big fans of the MX Simulator Pro races that we stream, those are coming back this next week, actually. Wednesday, January 6th will be round 1, Houston 1, of the 2021 Moto Option SX series, which you guys always seem to be a pretty big fan of. So we'll be live broadcasting it right here on YouTube this coming Wednesday night, I should say. So you probably won't want to miss that. And we're excited to be streaming that series again. A lot of fun storylines leading into that. But yeah, just for the excitement's sake of 6 years running of SYS, 200 episodes of Track Walk, got to break out an Enduro, got to break out a little bit of a prize giveaway for you guys, and do some fun stuff with that. All right, so let's talk about this track a little bit more. Matthias Lidman obviously does pretty good job with these. I feel like every year as the years go on, it's not, I wouldn't say that these like tracks get like, you know, ridiculously better or anything like that, but I think he just gets better in general at kind of creating sections that make sense. I love where he does these like crossover ruts. Those are really fun. And in general, he doesn't really create stuff that flows awfully. Like there are a couple sections on this track for sure that I almost feel like it's designed to kind of break up flow. So there's probably that aspect to it as well, where the reason why it feels a little weird and clunky is because he's trying to make it so that it's hard to connect lines in a section. Seems like he's starting to do some more of this where like the inside lines have logs, the outside lines don't. That's definitely something that I don't remember about the past ones. Maybe he did have a couple of those in there. But more or less just trying to open up the options, create more lines. And if you guys have ever played some of the other Enduro tracks in this game, the one of the things that is a little bit tough about them is the opportunities for passing become slim in some areas just because you get very one-line sections. I guess this track does have a little bit of that as well because you do start kind of weaving through sections and just carrying momentum from one bump to the other, and there's not these, you know, differentiating ruts and other things like that. But I do feel that overall he does a good job of at least making a lot of opportunities to create passing. So if you do have a race on this track, which he did obviously, it's not going to be one of those situations where you get stuck behind the leader or somebody else that you're trying to make a pass on to get up front maybe for a very long time, because, you know, Avalon Brush and a couple other tracks like that, there's not a lot of ruts and different options to choose from, so sometimes you just end up getting kind of caught in the same path as everybody else. I love these split sections that he does, little 3-lane split sections. They're not as prominent in this version of the track. I feel like in the 2018 version, I think, is when that really hit its peak with him doing that. He did a lot of those 3-lane split sections. I think it only happens maybe twice or 3 times on this track, which sounds like a lot as well, but it, you know, for this long of a track, you'd think maybe it happened a little bit more frequently. Not quite the case. And he also seems to have not have as many of the open space, like wide open roads this time around as well. I'm not sure if that's done purposely. Like we go on and off that road that I just came from several times and end up doing this kind of like, you know, get up on it, go down, and then go through a long section to get to the other side of the map, and then pop up on the road over there and you know, jump off of that and then go to the other side of the map and different things like that. These turning uphills are brutal for me, so I apologize that I'm going to hit these very, very slowly. Drop back down the hill. Like to try to beat my lap time that I did do one lap on this track just to get an indication on how long it was going to take me, because he did say it was going to be like a 25-minute lap time, but back in the day, I feel like people would say stuff like that, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, like that's reasonable for me to expect to take about 25 minutes to get this lap done. But with my skill sets not being the best these days, I'm kind of like, well, maybe I need to add 5 minutes to that. Not the case. I did one lap on it already and did like a 26-minute lap time. So let's see if we can actually maybe approach closer to that 25-minute mark that Lidman has basically kind of said is doable, or most likely approachable by an average player. Getting a little sloppy on this uphill though. So yeah, what else about this track? Ruts everywhere. I kind of like that. I kind of don't like it. Sometimes it does ruin the flow as well because you get high centered on ruts, but it also helps create flow because then you can connect the lines better instead of just kind of hitting flat turns. In general, I like what he does with water on this track, where you go in and out of some of the gullies. It looks like right here is a pretty big water section that you go through. Right, it's not actually very big at all now that I say that, but it's kind of dive into the water, duck back out. A lot of people in this game, including myself, are not very good at laying water down on tracks. There's sequence files that are basically like a billboard that you put in the ground. They're a statue, but they're sequence files as well, and it's not the easiest thing to make them look really, really good without having to condense several of them together. So oftentimes someone will just put a really, really big one down and then only go down in that really big one a couple of times so that it makes it look a little bit more realistic. But it seems like he's done a pretty good job here of actually creating several different low-lying water sections without using one tile. And it doesn't look wrong or bad or anything like that. So I think that looks pretty good. In general, I feel like this track, probably because it doesn't go on the road as much, feels a lot tighter than in past years. Again, not sure if that was on purpose by him, but it definitely does feel like it's very first and second gear on a 450, maybe a little bit more second and third on a 250 kind of a track. And in general, it's one of those tracks that you never stop moving with the joystick. You're always leaning back or trying to find, you know, a little bit more traction with the rear tires so that you can continue carrying momentum, especially through a section like this where it's rutted. It's kind of got a little bit of a chop, so the rear tire doesn't like to sit too much. Definitely a bit of a technical challenge right there. And then, like I said, you know, you got the rocks. It goes through this little gully. Doesn't use the road too much. Again, up on the road, you got two little log hoppers, and then you jump right back off the road over the ditch again. So, yeah, he's definitely using a couple different techniques that I don't feel like were commonplace in some of his past tracks. This obviously right here has the potential to be very one-line, single-line track right there. But then, again, back up on the road, quickly off the road. Just overall kind of, you know, good flow. Not the best one I've played, I think, of his, but definitely has some really fun aspects to it that I think are better than some of the past ones, even though the flow maybe breaks it up a little bit too much, in my opinion. He did used to have sections like this a lot, where it was just kind of like long, flowy whoop sections. But even this one, he did kind of purposely break it up. You think it just goes all the way down this back straightaway unhinged, but then it has this really kind of not awkward, but just like tough to negotiate chicane right in the middle of it, and then it continues on and actually runs into kind of a rock section up on the hill up here. So yeah, some good things, some bad. I think overall it's still a fun rendition. Would have actually been really interesting to race it to see, you know, where you could have made those passes and how often people pass you and then you crash and they pass you back, and oftentimes that feels like that's what happens when you do an enduro race in this game. So yeah, overall, pretty good track, and I like it. So I'm going to end talking about his track right now and go ahead and offer the code to you guys as we're approaching the 15-minute mark. So if you want to be entered in to get one of those 3 free shirts, SYS Start Your Systems t-shirt, just go to our Instagram account, Instagram/StartYourSystems, and enter the code into our DMs of Vanderhoof, VANDERHOOF. For those of you that have no idea what that means, the game creator that has helped us along the way very much since pretty much day one of this channel is guy by the name of Josh Vanderhoof. That is JLV on the forums. We don't know what his middle name L is, but Josh Vanderhoof is the JV. And give a little nod to him in episode 200 of Track Walk here. And yeah, so that's how you enter the drawing for the free shirts if you'd like to. Don't have to. Not saying it's something that everybody needs to jump on board if you don't want it, but hey, free shirts. Why not get a free shirt if you want one? So yeah, I guess I could talk a little bit about the enduro side of this. I have a lot of people that come to the channel and watch these enduro videos from time to time and say, that's not real enduro, or why don't you do more enduro videos, or why don't you race an enduro, or why aren't there more enduro series in MX Simulator and stuff like that? And the general answer to a lot of those, more or less, like why don't you race enduros, or why are there not more enduro series, is because they're very time consuming, not only to race but also to get the tracks built. The tracks are huge. They're not just short little supercross tracks that you only build a total of like 20 to 30 little jumps, and then everybody can race that for a couple days and feel happy about themselves. This is one of those things that, like, you almost can't try hard the track, because if you do, you're just going to get frustrated with how long each section is and all that. And then how do you let people in qualifying wise? Like, do you give everybody one chance to set a lap and then that's it? Or there's a lot of different reasons why. There have been enduro series before, and mostly they've been pretty fun, but I also understand why it's a little bit harder. So there's reasons for it, but I do think that this game has an interesting niche within itself of enduro fans and kind of enduro gameplay that pertains to not many other games. Like, I feel like even some of the arcade games nowadays are trying to add things that are enduro-y, like a waypoint creator, or playgrounds that have huge maps and stuff like that, like on MXRS ATV and on like the new MXGP game, and even Supercross games have it. But in general, those games aren't very realistic either, so it's not as fun to do some sort of like hard, intense, real enduro on a non-realistic game. So it's down to kind of just Sim and MX Bikes that kind of carry the torch for people that are really into the hard, intense enduro stuff. And I think MX Bikes is still just a little bit not quite there physically to do many enduro stuff. And I'm not saying Sim is, absolutely perfect for enduro stuff, but I feel like overall it does have still just a little bit better of a platform for enduro racing. So I would imagine there's going to be a time not far from now when MX Bikes also starts doing more enduro stuff. Obviously, there's the Erzberg Rodeo in MX Bikes that was created by Resolute Kraken, which is immense and insane, and I think that there's going to be more stuff like that to follow, whether Kraken himself does more of them or other content creators do it. But Sim has always had its own little niche group of people that have created the tracks, like Mecha did for a little bit, and Matthias Lidman, and then another guy who I guess is Swedish as well, named Hagvist. So kind of seeing a trend here. A lot of the Swedish people that play the game are into the enduros. But overall, like, I feel like they always do well in terms of views when I play them, just because enduro right now is very, very popular. I mean, a lot of people are into it. A lot of people are getting into it if they haven't already been doing it. It's a really kind of fun way to kill a lot of time on a motorcycle. People, I feel like, are less and less inclined to go to your local racetrack now and sit in the sun all day to only race 2 4-lap races. Whereas instead, whether it's a GNCC on the east coast of the U.S. or going and racing a hare scramble on the west coast in the U.S. or an actual enduro or some type of beach race or anything like that in Europe, people enjoy the ability to get on their bike and just ride and ride and ride, basically until the bike doesn't work anymore, or you don't work anymore as a human. So, it definitely seems like right now enduro is one of, if not the most popular forms of dirt bike riding out there. And I feel like right now it's a good time for a lot of these games to try to take advantage of that to a degree. I think that I wish there were more people out there like Resolute Kraken and Liddzor and Mecha 96 and Hagvist and all those that were more into making these super intense enduro tracks, because I feel like a lot of people have a desire to see them and play them and feel the experience of going places instead of being tied to the same, tight little supercross tracks, or, you know, to some degree some fun national tracks as well, but I still don't feel like it gives that same level of freedom in a game as some of these enduro tracks do. So that's kind of just like an overarching commentary about enduro in video games right now, but I definitely feel like there's a need for more of it, and hopefully with MX Bikes taking off kind of the way it has of late, and, you know, maybe some of these arcade games getting a little bit more out there with the size of their maps and other things like that. I don't know if we're that far away from like a really actual legit dedicated enduro game coming around. There's so much moto content out there right now anyway. I don't see why a developer, or maybe even just a game like MX Bikes or MX Sim, wouldn't take the time to make enduro more of a, you know, like a front-running thing that it pays attention to. At least that's kind of how I feel about it. I'm sure other people have opinions as well, but I've always really enjoyed the hard enduro stuff in these games, even though personally speaking I don't partake in it in real life. I'd like to. I think it'd be a lot of fun to race a GNCC, or maybe go do an enduro event, or I'd actually really enjoy racing, or would enjoy trying to race a beach race in France or the Netherlands or anything like that. So maybe one day that'll be something I get to cross off the bucket list as well. But in the games, at least, I feel like these provide a lot of fun and entertainment, and also kind of like a good learning tool as well, especially in sim and bikes, because they're very technical, hard games to learn. And as you can see, like, I'm not the best at them anymore either, but you have to take a lot of time and a lot of, you know, hours, I guess, put into learning these games. And a hard enduro track like this is almost like a good test for where your skills are at. If you can hit all the lines on a supercross track, like, that's great, but hitting ruts and bumps and logs and all these other things on a hard enduro track in the game is, I feel like, a step above, and needing to have the technical abilities in these games to do that is a good training method as well for a lot of people that are trying to learn ruts and learn how to react to things on the ground, and breaking bumps and single track and all sorts of other things like that. So if you're new to MX Simulator, or if you're new to MX Bikes, dig around. You know, try this one if you're going to play MX Sim, but if you're going to play MX Bikes, dig around, try to find an enduro track. I think the game even comes with a stock enduro track on it, because it's a good learning method, and it's also a good benchmark method, I feel, of where your skill sets lie in the game, and a way of kind of breaking the mold of doing the same monotonous tracks over and over again, which, again, I think is probably why a lot of those videos that I've done that are enduros are very popular. The Swedish Enduro Round 1 is the most popular track walk we've ever done, but the Gotland Grand Nationals also do very well. Avalon Brush I've done before very well. Liddzor himself also made, I think this was Liddzor, made a track called Tomelilla Enduro one time that was really good. And not too long ago, I just did the Le Enduro Pal du Touquet track from 2019 in Sim that seemed to also garner quite a bit of views and attention, and people were into that as well. So just as episode 200 of Track Walk, give a little bit of a nod to a genre that has been very kind to me, a group of people that have been very supportive of the track walks, and seemingly enjoy what it takes to do this in Sim, not only to ride the tracks, but to create the tracks as well, and like hearing a little bit more of the backstories about them. We're approaching the end of the lap here. I'm probably not going to beat my time. It's going to be really close, actually. We're getting right to the nitty-gritty here. I'm still seeing if I can maybe do it, so I'm trying to put my focus a little bit more into it, and I'm sorry if the commentary is starting to suffer, but I'd really like to try to beat that lap time. Like this part at the end, it's a little bit, I feel like, in the wrong spot. He does this part at the end here where it's just really tight and it kind of doubles back on itself. Now, I don't know for a fact whether or not the real Gotland Grand National has a section like this right before the finish line as well, but it kind of eliminates any chance of having a close race to the finish when you do this type of section towards the end, just because it's super one line. In any way, you're going to have to like knock somebody out of the way to do something good on this track right down by the finish, because this is what it ends with. It literally goes back and forth through these single tracks and then jumps back out onto the big long start straight, which isn't even the finish line isn't at the very end of the start straight. It's actually kind of like right out of the corner. So I feel like something like this needs to be either closer to the beginning or more in the middle of it, because near the end of the lap it does kind of, I feel like, ruin some potential close racing that you could have. But here we go, back out onto the start straight, and I'm going to get a 24:45. All right, so we did beat the sub 25 mark that I wanted to, and had some fun along the way. So yeah, thank you guys so much for checking out episode 200 of Track Walk and MX Simulator. Gonna be getting back into this, cranking these out more often, because now I don't feel like I have this pressure to make something super special for the 200th episode. We are done and dusted. So yeah, go ahead and enter the t-shirt contest if you'd like. The link to the Instagram is in the description below. And as always, appreciate you guys stopping by, watching another video here on Start Your Systems. Happy New Year's, everybody. 2021, let's make it a great year. And I'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.